They had been together for 11 years. She knew the sound of his key in the lock from 40 feet away. She knew which side of the bed he would always reach for, and how he took his coffee, and the small, unconscious sound he made when he was reading something that surprised him. She knew the geography of him by heart, not just his face, but the language underneath it, the thing his expression did a half second before he laughed, the way his shoulders changed when something was worrying him that he hadn't said yet. He knew her too, perhaps better than she knew herself, in the specific way that someone who has watched you for a decade can sometimes see the person you were trying to be more clearly than you can. This was what she had, at 34, instead of mystery. She had chosen it deliberately, and she had never once regretted it. But tonight, new city, a hotel room neither of them had ever been in, a view she hadn't anticipated, she felt something she hadn't expected to feel. She felt like she was waiting. The hotel was old and well-kept in the way that only certain European cities manage, not restored, but maintained, as though it had simply never allowed itself to fall apart. Dark wood, high ceilings, a window that opened onto the rooftops, and beyond them, the lit outline of a cathedral against a dark blue sky. She had opened the wine before he came out of the shower, not to get ahead of things, just because the view seemed to require it. She stood at the open window and let the city come in, the distant sounds of somewhere being alive at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, the smell of it, warm stone and something cooking far away. "That's some view," he said from behind her. She turned. He was standing in the middle of the room with his hair still damp and his collar open and the particular ease of someone who has arrived somewhere and decided to inhabit it fully. She handed him his glass. "Happy anniversary," she said. He touched his glass to hers. 11 years. "You say that like it's either very long or very short." "It's both," he said. "That's the strange part." They ate dinner at the restaurant downstairs, unhurriedly, the way people eat when they have nowhere they'd rather be. She told him a story she had never told anyone, a small embarrassing thing from her first week at a job she'd had before she met him, and watching him laugh at it felt like discovering a room she didn't know her house had. He told her he had been afraid early on. She asked of what. He said of being exactly this happy, because he had learned by then that the exact size of a happiness corresponds to the exact size of the hole it would leave. "And now?" she asked. He said, "Now I think that's just the price, and it seems fair." They walked back to the room the long way, through the old quarter where the streets were too narrow for cars, and the lamps were lit, and no one was in any kind of hurry about anything. She took his hand. Not the way you take someone's hand out of habit, the way you take it when you want to feel it specifically, that particular hand that you know and have always known. Back in the room, with the window still open and the cathedral still lit against the sky, something shifted. Not dramatically, not in the way of new people who are still discovering each other and need the charge of the unfamiliar to make things matter. This was slower and more sure than that. She looked at him, and he was looking at her, and there was a moment, one of those moments that doesn't need filling with words, where they both understood that tonight was not about who they were to each other in the ordinary light of every day. Tonight was about seeing.